On the right side we see the Roman army during the kingdom's era raiding other neighboring Italian people. The king would gather warriors capable of fighting and raid the neighboring areas with the aim of stealing crops, looting cities and villages, and enslaving women to increase population. Usually the campaign lasted from 1 to 3 days. The army was formed in the Greek phalanx formation. Here we see the Roman commander wearing Greco-Etruscan bronze armor like hoplite warriors, with the first-class citizens who fight in the first and second rows of the phalanx. The second-class citizens fight in the third and fourth rows. The third-class citizens are less armored and protected mainly by a large scutum, fighting in the fifth and sixth rows. The fourth-class citizens fight in the last rows, and they mostly don't have armor or helmets. Here we see the enemy commander wearing Villanovan bronze armor. As for the ordinary clan members, they do not wear good armor most of the time. Red, territory of the Roman Republic before the Punic Wars. Green, territory occupied by the Roman Republic before 150 BC. Manipulus, tactical unit of the Roman Republican armies. Consists of 2 centuria units. The centuria has 60 soldiers led by a centurion, assisted by a second in command, opptio. Standard bearer, signifer. Trumpeter, cornison. And guard commander, tesseranus. The 120 warriors of the unit are distributed in 3 lines. Hastati, shown here with yellow shields. Principes, with blue shields. And Triarii, with red shields. These shield colors shown here are not historically real, but are used in this drawing to distinguish them. The smallest unit is called a contubernium and consists of 8 soldiers who share the same tent. Of the 4,200 legionaries in a legion, 3,000 were heavy infantry. The remaining 1,200 men, the youngest and poorest, served as light infantry and were known as velites, cloak wearers. Normally, velites would open a battle screening their heaviest comrades. After withdrawing through their ranks, they would regroup on the Triarii, and then either remain in reserve or threaten the enemy's flanks. Each legion had about 300 equites organized into 10 termi, and to each terma the military tribunes appointed 3 decuriones, each decurio leader of 10 chosen opptio as his second command and rear rank officer. Though Polybian a legion consisted of 5 elements, the heavy infantry hastati, principes, and Triarii, the light infantry velites, and the cavalry equites, consisted of 30 maniples of heavy infantry. Its strength was 4,200 to 5,000 soldiers. After the velites had withdrawn through the gaps, the maniples of hastati would naturally have to reform to close the gaps before advancing to contact. The Roman fighting style at that time was to begin by throwing the enemy with light spears, then the heavier ones. Light and then heavy pila are thrown, then the legionary draws his gladius and rushes at the enemy facing him, punching with his scutum and stabbing around its edges. As a consular army neared the end of a day's march, one of the military tribunes and centurions who formed the camp surveying team were sent ahead to select an open site, near water, preferably on rising ground and with no cover that could be exploited by the enemy. The camp itself covered an area about 700 square meters. They selected the site of the consul's tent, Praetorium. A white flag was placed on this spot, and a red flag on the side nearest water. A ditch, 90 centimeters deep and 120 centimeters wide. Each maniple was allotted a working section about 25 meters long. When camping near an enemy camp, they dug a ditch 2.7 meters deep and 3.6 meters wide, behind it a wall of earth 1.2 meters high. The distance between the wall and the tents is about 60 meters. Consular army drawn up for battle. In 311 BC, Rome was amassing armies of up to 4 legions of 20,000 men. Maniple of Triarii. Legionary centurio and signifier. The 6 tribunes were positioned in front of each legion. The consul, attended by the 12 lictors. A terma of equites, with the decuriones on the right flank. Legionary centurions in open order, formed in 4 ranks and 20 files. Each soldier occupies an area of 1.83 square meters. Legionary centurions in close order, formed in 8 ranks and 10 files. Each soldier occupies an area of 0.9 square meters. Centurio stands at the first rank. Signifier stands next to the centurio. Cornison stands behind the centurio. Optio, tesserarius, stands in the last row to organize the ranks from behind. Testudo, turtle formation, used during sieges and also in field battles to protect against enemy projectiles while advancing towards them. The first line of fighters put their shields in front, while the fighters of the other lines put their shields above their heads, and the fighters on the sides put their shields, so it ends up in the form of a box of shields. Fulcrum, formation from the late Roman era to protect against cavalry attacks. Cuneus, the wedge formation. Romans used it to break through enemy lines. This formation is called the pig's head, and it is similar to the cuneus. Legio III Augusta in battle formation against Numidian Berber rebel Tacfarinas. The legion consists of 60 centuries, within 10 cohort, formed in 433 system. The first line has 24 close order centuries. The second line and third line have 18 centuries each. Legate, legion commander. A unit of 120 cavalry who are the commander's personal guard and act as a reserve force if necessary. Primus Pilus senior centurion of the first cohort and the Aquilefer. They are both high-ranking people in the legion. The legion supported by 2 cohorts of light auxiliary infantry on each flank, with 480 soldiers per cohort formatted in open order. On each flank ala of auxiliary cavalry 500 strong in 16 termi. This is the Numidian cavalry unit. Legionary heavy infantry make a frontal assault while light infantry adding missile support. And cavalry try to knock out the light units and cavalry of the enemy. Late Republican or late Imperial Roman century charging against the enemy. Roman lanciarii attacking Parthian cavalry. Lanciarii light armed legionaries equipped with lanci. Heavy legionary infantry. Cataphracts fully armored Parthian cavalry. Roman cavalry wedge formation. Here we see the cavalry terma consisting of 30 cantarii, lancers from the 3rd century AD. In the front is the decurion, the leader of the terma. Immediately behind him is the signifier. Behind the group is the collo, the servant of the decurion, who rides on a horse and pulls a horse with him. These horses are extra for the leader in case his horse is killed or tired, and the collo also carries a set of extra spears for the leader in case his spears break. Testudo formation of Roman cavalry in the 3rd century AD. Where they stand diagonally, each fighter protecting himself and the head of his comrade's horse with his shield.